Welcome to ITCOM, where real men talk. Today we'll be discussing male sex myths. And joining me will be OEP, model, and entertainer extraordinaire Uti, and also entertainer, serial businessman, and all-round dynamic fellow, Pretty Mike. Let's get into it. So, sex. And I have two of the sexiest men in the Nigerian industry. For instance. But at least that's what people tell me, you know, as I'm not from your world.
I refuse to believe that. People say we are one of the sexiest, two of the sexiest.
Two of you, right? So it's
we're part of it now.
The two of you are part of it. The two of you are, I said two of the, I didn't say the two sexiest. Okay. You know, I'm a lawyer. I like to give small room for doubt. But let's get real. You know what I mean? There are always assumptions about men and sexual potency, performance, interests, proclivities, things that we like to do. And there's also a movement going on that says that, you know what, a lot of the stuff that they hear and say about Nigerian men isn't quite living up to standard. So let's just start with, in your opinion, what are the biggest sex myths and expectations that you encounter in your relationships? Uti now, you're center of attraction. You go start this thing.
How am I center of attention?
You're in the middle of two of us. You have the best hair, you have the finest beard,
I think,
and the best body. So you look like an Adonis. No, you look like an Adonis. Yes, so go on.
Going off of that. So I think one of the biggest myths is that I have personally encountered is that once you're a Black, African man, you want to probably have sex every single day, sometimes 2 times or 3 times a day. And you have to have that same sexual appetite for the duration of the relationship. And if it starts to dwindle, then there is a problem. You're either cheating or you're not in love with the person you're with, or you have health issues or mental issues. Yes, true for the mental issue part, but not every man wants to have sex every single day. I think.
So it might be looking like I disagree.
No. That's what I'm saying. That's my reality.
Oh, okay.
And that's the thing about it, is that you have to come to the point in your life where you realize that there are different people with different sex drives. There are some people whose love language is quality time. Others is physical touch. If you're with someone that wants physical touch every day, of course you won't have sex with them every day, 3 times a day or whatnot. But there are some men out there, such as me, who are not really about sex every day. We're more about connection, more about bonding, more about spending time, more about acts of service, a shoulder to lean on, and all of that. So I think for me, that's one of the, so because of, people that are not comfortable with statements like this or lifestyles like this, it's almost like, but you should, you must, you have to. That means there's a problem. In the beginning, you might want to be going at it like jackrabbits. But if there's purpose, if there's meaning to your relationship, right? Other things take center stage. Sex is just an accompaniment for people that think like me and people who have the same kind of love language.
Mike, you just the alpha.
Wow, nice. I think when it comes to sex and its myth in our environment and society, I've had people that have gotten out of relationships because they're probably not getting enough sex.
From you?
It can never be from me.
Okay.
For those that know, and the record speaks for itself, I'm an active member of the sexual society. We hit it hard, or you go home.
So your member is an active member of the member society.
We'll let you know, and we put it down. We're in an environment where, Uti might be right. Some people just want to talk, but I think a high percentage of the people at the end of the day, as you're talking and trying to be nice, and in their mind they're asking you, when will you fuck me? Please, can we stop all this talking and let's fuck? It's at the back of your mind. Let's not forget that. Sometimes you meet a young lady. I've been privileged to meet a couple of people and having
just a couple.
Like I said, record speaks for itself. I'm very active. It's not for the last how many years, I have a track record, and I'm proud of it.
We've seen the track record.
Right,
It's
right.
okay.
There's no
We have seen meeting Mike's and his coterie of.
there's no denying what I do and what I do best. And you know what? I was created that way. But for some people that choose to claim that they are not as sexually active as some people, to me, sometimes I see it as a fault.
He default you.
Oh, no. That's totally okay.
Right.
Like, you have to understand that different people exist. Like, that's why we're not all the same skin color.
Exactly.
We're not all the same height. We're not all the same. Yeah, I mean, if that's your interpretation of it, if you interpret it as fault, if that makes you sleep well at night or tolerate or not tolerate the next person, that's you.
Right.
We are the architects of our own lives. Like, do you? That's why we have tribes. And I'm not talking about cultural tribes. I'm talking about tribes in terms of your energy.
Right.
So do you, and find the person that speaks your language.
If you listen very well to what Uti is saying, find the shoe that fits you.
That's it.
And I think that's the problem with our environment. We're in an environment where sometimes we don't listen to these things. We don't pay attention to these things. You meet a young man or a young lady or vice versa, and you are not paying attention to their body language, both physically, mentally, and sometimes spiritually, to understand what they want. Which is why sometimes society might push you into getting married, for example, and I hate to go to the marriage side.
And you look at me.
Right. And then down the line, they start having issues. Why? Because they didn't pay attention to some of these needs or wants.
Yeah.
Does she have a high sex drive? Does he have a high? I mean, I've met ladies that said, my husband wants to do it too much. I've also heard the ones that said, my husband doesn't want to do it at all. And there have been divorce cases where the girl said, you know what, my guy is not giving it to me. And he might say, mentally, I'm not stable to even have an erection. It now becomes a big problem. That word sex, bold topic and a vast topic.
Yeah.
To even start tackling.
Yeah. And I just think people need to be honest. Put your cards on the table when you like someone. As you're asking about your blood type, genotype, your
also
health
sex type,
statistics.
What kind of sex do you like?
What about, yes, but a lot of people like to pretend because they want to keep you.
Yes.
Do you think one reason why people lie in relationships is because of their fear that they will not match up to the myth or the expectation that comes from the myth of being this mandingo, because it's like, as you said, as a guy, people expect you to want sex all the time. So partners go in expecting that there's and then you're like, no, let's have this, let's talk about this.
Are we talking about in this environment?
Oh yes, always in this environment, yes.
Well, for me, 9 times out of 10, one of the biggest problems when people lie and talk about their sexuality, male or female, or their sex myth, has a lot of things to do with money. Because, if you can't talk about sex, I don't talk about money in this environment.
Okay, I want to go to the money issue in a minute, but clarify this for me so that I'm on the
So,
page with you.
You meet a young lady that probably is a sex addict, right? Or likes to have frequent sex. But the guy that's talking to her maybe doesn't like as much. But she's with that dude and probably will marry that dude because he's financially buoyant. Back to this environment. That's why I asked the question. Are we talking about this environment? Nigeria.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. Or you meet a guy, vice versa, that loves sex. Meets a lady that might not
really love sex.
But because he can afford to have multiple sex partners, it's fine. Now, fine girl, her behavior is okay. I'll keep her in the house. Yeah, she likes to have sex once in 2 months. But don't worry, I have other sexual partners outside because I can afford it.
You brought money. Is it fair to say that when it comes to sexual awareness, performance, enjoyment, everything else, money is a big factor, or is the primary factor, which basically now goes to the issue of transactional sex?
In our environment, yes. In this environment, yes.
And is transactional sex a good thing or a bad thing? Because there's a stigma attached to it.
I think people like, You see, I have 3 rules, and I say this everywhere I go. 1, you're not intentionally hurting yourself. 2, you're not intentionally hurting another person, because some people can get hurt without you trying to hurt them.
Yeah.
And 3, when another party is involved, you gain consent. Once you tick these 3 boxes, do whatever you want to do, as long as you don't hurt yourself, hurt another person, and you're gaining consent intentionally, right? So, I'm in no position, neither are you in any position to judge whether transactional sex is good or bad. The question should be, how do I feel about transactional sex, which goes back to your tribe. If, yes, not cultural.
No, I know. Yes. I have to reset on
If you're more comfortable engaging in it, who is anybody out there to judge? As long as you're taking care of yourself and your health is your responsibility. If you have needs and you feel like that's the only value you bring to the table, and that's what you've decided to do to make the quick and easy buck, that's on you.
Isn't that a bit, and I'm not either side of the conversation, isn't that a bit naive in the sense that you still live in a society, because you're talking about people coming in and having opinions. Society is largely built on majority shared opinions and assumptions. So, for example, when I said transactional sex, I wasn't thinking of just prostitution, for example.
So you are of the opinion that transactional sex is not good?
No, I didn't say that. Actually, I don't care what you do. However, I know whatever I decide. No, actually, no. See,
no, because if that's what you're saying, let me tell you something. I don't like.
Hold on.
No, I don't like people that are hypocrites. You ask me. Listen, hold on. When you asked me for that girl's number on Instagram,
yes,
I gave it to you.
Yes.
And you told me that it was because of you wanted to maybe talk to her. Don't come here now before me. It's because you want to pay her to knock her. Don't come here and be pretending like you don't. To her. I
didn't knock her.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What did you just dash that money?
I've lost.
No, because I didn't want to say this at first, but you were here now trying to defend it.
Where does it look like? The girl has to have knocked her.
I don't understand.
I even called the girl.
Hold on. Okay, so we should
the girl now.
We can come on this show.
The girl.
Because I don't want
the girl to knock. Maybe there was no money, but I don't want there was no money involved now.
Oh, just we talking her.
Okay, so basically,
you probably start to
but you
do a job and that's
transactional sex. If you want to discuss money, is that what I agree to? Okay, well, seriously speaking, let's bring it back.
Me, I can't discuss anything without money.
My take was, and this actually sort of like is why I started this topic.
Right.
There are myths and taboos and stuff because one, people don't talk a lot in our society.
Does it exist? Yes.
Yes. So I asked about transactional sex because I wanted to actually expand
all this profession.
I wanted to expand the scope beyond just prostitution.
Whatever makes you comfortable. If you want to call it sex worker, beautiful. If I want to call it prostitute, beautiful. If you want to call it transactional, beautiful. But the underlying truth is that you're exchanging money or favors or barter.
Okay.
You know?
So why does society then frown more on men who are or shame more men who are seen to be beneficiaries of performance for money?
No, the shame is balanced.
No. Okay.
Because that's the culture. Men have been raised to deny, unless it's seen as a position of power.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Do you understand? Men will rather, but we're getting there. The men will start to own it very soon. But the girls had to own it. They took their power back. You want to call me this? Oh, yeah. It's okay. Okay, what next? Those days, you would toast a woman. Not me, but like people would toast women. And then the next thing that they will say, if the woman turns them down, just get up from here and shower. So the women are like, okay. And the same thing that a lot of women did with Beach One. I'm not saying that's the right thing, but they've taken the power. They've taken the power away from men.
So basically, men have to now own their...
if it's what you do,
own
it.
I'm not of the opinion that if you are having any kind of transactional whatever with anybody, does not 100% define you as a prostitute. I want to tell you something. Like I said, we're speaking about this environment, an environment where certain people have been placed under certain conditions to do things that they really don't want to do. They have been vulnerable. They have been taken advantage of. I don't think they will allow you label them a prostitute because they were vulnerable at some point, or they were forced into, or they had to do something that they needed to do in this environment. Listen, I've met a lot of young ladies at work environment that have to almost do something transactional with their bosses not because they want to, right? Condition of the environment has turned them. Now, if you call that person a prostitute, trust me, you've broken all codes and all, because I mean that's wrong. We are all different individuals.
Yeah.
We all have different upbringing. We all stay different religion and culture. Everybody has a different kind of skin, right?
Yeah.
So for that young lady or young guy or whatever it is that has been coined, and let me tell you something. You say adults, right? The environment says once you're 18 and adults. Some people are not adults in their 25. Some are adults from 15 mentally. Right? Because society says at a certain age you're an adult does not mean you are prepared. Maybe your gene or your upbringing or the society or the environment does not allow you blossom as an adult. So at some point, people get taken advantage of. I'm going to say that again.
Fair.
Right? Yes, some make choices. But what I'm trying to tell you is that not everybody has the privilege, the strength, the power, the will,
and that's why you
to make these choices.
At what age did they say your prefrontal cortex is developed? It's different for men and women, I think, and that's why they call you an adult at certain ages when your prefrontal cortex is fully developed. And for me, it's just I don't like excuses or making excuses for your actions. You should be able, you don't owe anybody an explanation. First things first. I don't owe you. Nobody owes anybody an explanation. But in the event where you now have to give the explanation, you feel compelled to give that explanation, whether they asked you or whether they didn't ask you. Please own your choices without transferring blame to someone else.
You raise an issue about people about abuse and the rest, right?
Right.
Okay. Do you think I go back to this male myth idea? This idea of males as this mandingo, blah 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 blah, is one reason why male sexual abuse goes underreported or underexplained. On a less simplistic level, why does that go underreported, and what stops men from? Again, is it the idea that people won't see me as a man? So, what kind of man are you meant to be besides the superhuman situation that makes it easy for you to be complicit in the silencing of your abuse?
It goes back to this conversation of don't blame anybody, own it by yourself. Let me tell you something. Sometimes you need to put the blame on somebody, because you know what? That someone could have been your upbringing that has affected you psychologically and emotionally to have brought about some of your bad behavior. If you go to the Western world, there are certain crimes that are committed, and you know what? For them to determine why you committed that crime, they take it back to your beginning, meaning they have to blame somebody, they have to blame something, they have to look for an excuse, because you know what? That behavior is not normal, which is why I'm of the opinion sometimes, not all the time. Now, what people have done is abuse the blaming. But there are some genuine incidents where somebody or something caused you to act a certain way. It's not all the time you can own it, my opinion.
I agree. I absolutely agree with you. I agree that yes, some people can trigger certain things in your life, but you will get to a point in your life where you have to deal with those issues. If not, you'll become a prisoner to that person who hurt you forever, not just sexually. In terms of love, in terms of business, in terms of everything. Yes, they would influence your behavior, but that's where healing comes. You have to face your trauma, face your past. And that's why abuse is inexcusable.
I like to look at things in different dimensions, not just one way.
Absolutely.
One of the reasons why men are being sometimes, mostly, hit hard, right? Is because you know what? In the society we are in, worldwide, men are supposed to be leaders. Men are supposed to be, head of the house. I mean, we do have some that have overtime, but I think in even toughening you up, even when we look at old movies from way back, you can't come off as soft.
But isn't that dangerous?
So hold on.
Toxic condition.
Like I said, looking at it from different angles, you can't come off, which is why maybe some of our parents, when you cry like that, they go hard on you because it's not expected. They didn't expect that from a young man to, act a certain way. Now, is that right? That's a conversation for a different day. Because you know what? I always tell people, in whatever household, however you want to train your kids, or however you want to bring up people in your environment, that's up to you. Some have chose to pamper, right? And let their male or whatever act a certain way. Some have chose not to. However it pleases you, go ahead.
Okay, fine. Now let me pivot from that to something that's a little lighter, but still ties into myths and truths. And it's tied to performance. 3 things, right? Three assumptions. Size equals performance. Age, as you grow older, your ability depreciates.
Hold on first. I have to adjust my mouth. Sometimes if I sit down, it was... when you said size, I had to...
Oh, yeah,
Mine is safely tucked.
You just touch it small there. Just say bros. Just shift it. Okay.
Use tape, go meet someone.
So, and then third, aggression is performance.
What?
Now, topic with this.
As you know, say as he lean back.
You know, I mean, it's there are so many ways to look at it. So different folks, different strokes.
This might
Right?
just open.
But I think in general, size does matter for a high percentage of people. I don't think anybody wants to have anybody to have.
But the data says otherwise.
Right? I don't think anybody wants to have a male partner that has a mushroom. If I'm allowed to talk about this, but I will talk about it. I mean, we were
We can't
4
stop you.
people here in the beginning of this show that wanted to,
Let it go.
and no, I can't do that. And one of our guests, I'm letting guys know now because it's behind the scene, opted out. You know why? He has a mushroom.
guy, now come on.
Hold on.
Come on.
Don't
come
be like
on,
that.
now.
Don't be mean.
Don't
Don't be a
So they don't look like telling them the truth though.
How you take Siam?
You just see
Now see the girls talk now.
which girls?
Which guess?
Okay, you don't know.
Clearly, I don't.
Oh my wow.
It's like say Mike know all the guests.
Then they talk now.
Okay.
I mean, that's why I have a lot of sisters. We gist. We're a family.
So did he
Now
know what
mushroom.
to
Now
talk
mushroom.
about?
Now mushroom. Yeah,
But
that's
he know
what,
we're
they told us the topic now.
But they're not going to ask us to show our side.
Go ahead.
Alive.
Do him now.
Go on.
It will come off as no.
No. See, just comfort. See, just quickly. Everything you have been saying since. No, boy. I beg. Okay, we're holding on. Wait, okay, give us a preview.
There are 3 ways to look at this.
There's only one way.
Hold
Upwards.
on, no. I can stand up here and I can strip. But I want to tell you something. It can come off as indecent exposure to some people. Hold on.
We'll blur it, don't worry.
Hold on. 1.
We'll pixelate.
2. Zoom. Hold on. 2. Trust me.
It won't kill market.
I will expose if I'm getting paid for it. Hold on.
Bring money inside.
3.
Transactional sex. Transactional performance sex.
Now why?
Transactional sex. Transactional preview sex.
3.
Preview of member.
3. The way you cross your legs, I don't trust you. I don't know. I don't want you to
Hey, Leo.
or start. I will not, because you know what, that's a no. I will not do that.
Cross his leg like this.
I find I want the reason why I don't go on next one.
Why?
Because I don't know what if guilty.
But he might. But even if that's his tea, he might see you and be like you.
You back at him.
Exactly.
Okay, fine, Mike, you can keep your clothes on. So now, once we've accepted that there's a size aspect, and according to you, most people want size, let's park that one to the side. The other 2 basically is...
He said age and performance and aggression.
Yes.
It all goes back to what I said in the beginning, which is finding your tribe. Because at the end of the day, in fact, when you take statistics, right? And you, even online, sometimes I just put up a fun poll, women will tell you that it's not about aggression. The percentage that say they like aggression is very... The ones that say they like, because women,
I think it's a percentage that have accepted aggression. A
aggression.
lot have not accepted it openly.
No, because you have to understand your body. No. There are some women that just want average. Believe it or not, there are some women that will say, they're the exception, that will say, I want small. I don't want all this matter. And there's some that will say, if it's not big, if it's not making me feel like I'm about to choke to death. So at the end of the day, when you take statistics, and I go back to that, more women love sensuality than aggression.
In your
Fact.
opinion.
No,
Fact.
statistically.
Fact. Statistically, Google
Data.
it.
Data.
Google it. Even when it comes to size, more women love average than XXL.
Of course.
Average to large than
was-
XXL. Fact. Now, age performance, if you are healthy, your performance does not dwindle. As long as you stay healthy, you stay away from hard drugs like alcohol, caffeine,
And your diet is balanced.
and your diet is balanced, you work out, you take your supplements, you eat healthy. If your libido is at a satisfactory level, you maintain it. And
Yeah.
if, of course, your mental health is on a satisfactory level,
Okay.
of course not. There are 80-year-old men that are still giving birth.
Pacino born picking just recently.
Oh, so age has nothing to do with
Yeah,
it.
but because you give birth does not mean you have a high sexual.
No, we're just saying.
yeah,
We're just saying.
Right, right.
We're just saying.
It has been interesting, but let me bring it. I guess our closing topic, and I left the best or the most serious for last. The issue again of this myth of the strong black man. Is it dangerous in the sense that it prevents men from coming to terms with how consent applies to them and being willing to talk about when their consent has not been taken in relationships? The reality, well, in my experience, a lot of guys' first sexual experience was not consensual. It was usually a prostitute, a family friend, another person. But a lot of guys don't accept that experience was a violation, as it were. And also, as we go, there have been instances of, I guess, domestic abuse between parties and sexual abuse between parties, even with guys, but guys don't seem willing to accept that because they feel they have to live up to this persona, this myth of the untouchable man. Do you think the time will come when that conversation can be had, or men can accept that they can be abused?
That's a scary topic, and that, for me, in my opinion, I don't think it's a conversation. Well, it has never been a conversation that has been encouraged.
Yes.
In terms of men coming out to speak about abuse or being taken sexually advantage of at a tender age. For example, I lost my virginity when I was 13, and I can clearly tell you it was from my housemaid, not even one, it was two of them. And it did that change my orientation about sex? Yes. Am I coming out to report it or say that something negative happened to me? You know what? I think I've decided to, live with it. Especially at that age. 13, nowadays, 13 in this environment can sometimes even be seen as almost adults. Because I can tell you something. If, hold on. I said sometimes. Let me explain why I said that. Hold on. Can I say something? If you were to commit a certain crime in certain countries at that age, they would try you as an adult. Hold on.
Like what country?
Like I said, in the US,
Like what country?
if you commit murder
in the US,
yes,
you try as an adult.
They can try. Yes, I've seen it.
Yes,
I've seen it. As an adult.
Certain crimes.
And yes, certain crime. I said. Certain crime.
Okay.
They can. They will say you mentally. So what I'm saying is, you can see that age has now been is a dicey one. But you know what? For people that were taking advantage 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I think is totally no, because you know what? They have no idea. We should be in an environment where we should look at. I would tell parents that pay attention to your kids, not just the female ones, the male ones also. Because I've realized sometimes when you hire a certain person, like, no, because of my female child. No, what about the male child? They are all young. There shouldn't be double standard. They should all be. Look out as a parent. Look out for your kids, and make sure nobody takes advantage of both the female and the male.
So I think adulthood is adulthood. Regardless of how advanced you are mentally or emotionally or spiritually, if you're not up to 18, you're not an adult. You're not an adult.
And more people,
even if you're
adults,
16,
adults,
even if you're
adult age.
yes.
Yeah,
and
so
I think
let's
a
not
lot of men
abstract
need to be raised on consent. Remember my third rule? As long as there's consent, do what you have to do.
Yes.
And then children cannot consent.
Yes.
Same thing as animals, same thing as whatever you want to look at it as. But children cannot consent, even if they think they want to consent. There are a lot of things you did as a teenager, as an adult, you remember, like Jesus Christ. Do you understand? So even as an adult, you might also get it, but children cannot consent.
Can an adult's consent be taken away from them?
You know what? Yes, there are people that have been taken advantage of. There are some that can fight it off. There are some that, I mean, we're in an environment where people have bad intentions. Sometimes I would say also it's sometimes about the environment you put yourself in, the people you hang out with, the situation. For younger people, for teenagers, or for under 18, it's important for you, guardian parents, or environment to make sure that they're not victims. Now, when you cross over as an adult, pick and choose the kind of people you deal with. If somebody has a questionable character, I don't think I want to be going out with you because I don't know what your intentions are, especially if I don't want to be a victim of some of these circumstances that we've heard and all around town. There's so many things happening, and we're in difficult times. People just need to be careful out there.
And on that note, I think we can come to a close. I'd like to thank you both for giving me your time and giving me your views, and for not taxing me as much as you wanted to. Thank you very much. Yeah.
What's up? My name is Uti Nwachukwu, aka Sir Uti. I am a TV presenter and actor, and sometimes when I'm feeling sexy, a model.
This is Pretty Mike of Lagos, and as you all know, a serial entrepreneur and in the hospitality business. And of course, I'm in the company
Of men.